Hi, I'm Reverend Dr. Terry Gallagher. I want to welcome you back to another edition of Come and See, where we look at what's possible for hope for the future when our faith guides our use of technology rather than our greed. Today, I want to talk about education. Specifically, I want to talk about educating girls. And we chose this backdrop of a brand new school in a low-income neighborhood as a sign of hope when we invest in our kids, when we provide them the educational tools, the educational atmosphere, the eagerness to learn. What is possible? You know, in the opening verses of the Gospel of John, Jesus is described as coming into the world as a light that no darkness could overcome. Education is the most brilliant light to overcome the darkness of this earth. There's hundreds of millions of girls that don't have the chance for education right now. And what a waste. 51% of the human population are women. And if we don't have women involved with their minds and their hearts and their souls, we're just cheating ourselves out of answers for this, out of what's possible, what could be saved for future generations. So why don't kids learn? Why don't girls have a chance to go to school? Well, from a very practical basis, a lot of times the families need them at home because the water supply is 5-6 miles away, and the girls are the ones that have to go haul in the water because the boys have to get educated or work on the farm. On the cultural side, there's still a lot of male-dominated views in the world, particularly in different cultures where we say women don't do that, or there's no reason for girls to have education because they're girls. What a waste of God-given talent. Educating girls, providing the opportunities. And so it's multifaceted. And so it isn't simply to build schools, although they're needed. It's to get away from the schools that are for-profit basis and get back to their original source. What's the original purpose of schools? It's to create a hunger to learn, a path towards wisdom, a way to improve the world. Okay? And so, besides building schools, we also have to help in the other areas. So that might mean that in a village, in order to educate girls, we've got to have clean water wells, so they don't have to walk 5 miles each way for water. Or we need to provide clean cook stoves so that they don't have to go scrounging for wood in a far-off forest. But it might also be that we have to educate and create a culture of learning where women are valued for what they bring into it. You know, I've gone on a number of immersion experiences in Palestine and in Mexico and Colombia and in Honduras, and in every single case, it was women who were providing hope for the future. Women who are rising up and speaking out of their courage, out of their heart, out of the depths of their souls, that another way is possible. That's what we need to solve the climate crisis. From a very practical standpoint, the difference between a woman that's had 0 school education and a woman that's had 12 years of education is a dramatic drop in birth rate. And so it's the most effective birth contraceptive there is. And I'm not talking about sex education, I'm talking simply education. When women are exposed and learn that there are other possibilities, that they can be in control of their lives. It's a difference of 4 or 5 kids versus 1 or 2. It's dramatic. But more importantly, what a terrible waste it would be is if we don't use 51% of the population to solve the crises that are upon us. Let's face it, old white men like me have caused a lot of the problems. We need the wisdom of educated women with their hearts and their minds and their souls, bringing us the answers for how to change human civilization so that our kids, my kids and your kids, have a chance for a future. Can we do this? We can absolutely do this. Why should we do it? In the Gospel of Luke and also in Mark, Jesus describes a story of where he's teaching in a house. And the house is so overflowing, nobody else can get in. And there were some friends that had a buddy that was paralyzed. He was on a pallet. And they tried to get him in the house so Jesus could heal him, and they couldn't access the house. But they didn't give up. Even though there is no way in, they looked up on the roof and they raised their buddy up on that roof in his pallet. They tore apart the roof and they lowered the paralyzed man to Jesus so he could get healed. That's what we need to become. We need to become roof rippers instead of wall builders. We need to become those people who dismantle boundaries. You say there's a problem with educating worlds? We can figure out how to do that because we need them as a resource. You say we shouldn't spend money abroad? You're being a fool because that's how terrorism happens. Education is the light that no darkness can overcome. Educating girls unleashes a human talent into this world that God created. How foolish of us not to do it. So at a time when we're cutting off foreign aid, we need to be increasing it. At a time when we want to build walls, we need to be tearing them down. At a time when we don't value women, we should understand the precious resource that they are and lift them up. Educate girls. How stupid are we not to do that? We can do this. My kids and your kids, my grandkids and your grandkids are counting on us to do this. It's within our grasp. We can build brand new schools in all the facilities in low-income areas. We can do it across the globe too. Because God has given us the resources to do so. We can do this. See you next time on Come and See, where we'll explore another technology that brings hope for the future. Not just on education, but on every facet of life. See you then.
And faith is not in knowing, it's a willingness to learn. And faith is found in loving when there's nothing in return. So come and see, come and see. Around the bend, look my friend, and what could be? Come with me, come with me. There's so much more to know, so come and see. There's so much more to know, so come and see.